You know that moment?
Hmm.
Uh, you're at an event, maybe a job fair, or, well, even just meeting someone new,
Hmm.
and they turn to you and say, so tell me about yourself. And suddenly your mind just blanks. Or you launch into this like rambling life
Yeah.
story.
You've definitely all been there. It's surprisingly tricky.
Totally. So today we're doing a deep dive into some really smart ways to craft an introduction that actually answers that question well.
And more than just answers it, right? An intro that genuinely opens doors, especially when you're trying to build professional relationship.
Exactly. Relationship selling, networking, all that.
That's right. We've got a collection of really practical advice here. It's almost like an insider's guide, to making those first few moments really count.
Okay.
And our goal, really, is to get beyond just the what of a good self-introduction. We want to explore the why behind each suggestion.
So you actually understand how it works.
Precisely. We want to equip you with a clear understanding uh, of how to present your value right from the very start, making sure you're not just heard, but actually remembered.
Yeah, because a good intro isn't just facts.
No, it's about showing what you bring to the table, your value proposition, essentially.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The first thing these guidelines really hammer home is creating what they call a foundational snapshot.
Right, the quick intro.
Yeah, and they say you've got this tiny window, just like 15 to 30 seconds to nail this.
Wow, that's fast.
It is. And within that short time, there are three key things.
Hmm.
Your name, what you're currently doing, your role or studies, and just one line that gives some context.
Okay.
They give an example, like second-year BBA student focusing on wealth management. Simple.
Mm-hmm. And what's really interesting about starting with that clear snapshot is how it helps the listener's brain.
How so?
Well, think of it like giving them an immediate framework. Some research suggests that when you start really precise like that, you give the other person a kind of mental peg
Yeah,
to hang the rest of what you say on. It just provides instant clarity, makes it easier for them to, follow along.
that makes sense. So within this quick snapshot, there are some best practices. They seem simple, but maybe they're really important.
Definitely. What have they got?
First, say your full name clearly
Ugh,
and maybe just a touch slower than you normally talk.
right. How often do you meet someone and 5 minutes later you've forgotten their name? Or maybe you never even caught it?
Happens all the time. Second, add a tagline, something that really captures your professional focus.
Okay, like what?
So instead of just BBA student, maybe something like aspiring CFP, passionate about helping individuals achieve their financial goals, a bit more flavor.
Yeah, that tagline is more than just a label, isn't it? It's like a hook.
Exactly.
It signals your area of interest, your expertise, makes it easier for the other person to see connections, maybe opportunities, and it's definitely more memorable than just a generic title.
For sure. And the third thing in that snapshot, eye contact.
Ah, the classic. But crucial.
Absolutely. Such a basic way to connect, show you're present, engaged.
Can't skip that one. Okay, so that's the snapshot. What's next?
Right. So the guidelines move beyond just telling people who you are right now. They talk about framing your background, your education, work experiences as a value chain.
A value chain. I like that framing.
Me too. Instead of just a list like I did this, then this, then this, you're showing how each step built on the last one.
Precisely. Think about looking at your resume. How do you make those bullet points really connect with someone? This value chain idea seems like the answer.
Yeah,
It's about weaving together maybe seemingly different experiences to show you're adaptable, that you've grown in maybe a non-linear way, which is super valuable today.
they give a really good example. Someone with an accounting diploma who then interned at a credit union reconciling loan portfolios.
Okay.
The point isn't just the tasks, but that this experience, quote, sharpened their analytical accuracy and compliance mindset.
Ah, so it's about the outcome of the experience, the skill gained.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Identifying those transferable skills and the value you got from each step.
Yeah, that makes sense. And to make it practical, do they offer like a way to do this?
They do. They provide a checklist example that encourages you to break down your education and experience into specific skills,
It's okay.
and then explicitly link those skills to the benefits you can offer other people.
Oh, that's useful. So turning features into benefits, basically.
Pretty much. That checklist is gold. For example, a BBA in finance from SAA isn't just the degree itself.
Right.
It means you learned advanced cash flow modeling. And the benefit, you can provide faster, clearer financial roadmaps for clients.
Nice. Concrete.
Or like a summer job at Wealth Simple gave you exposure to robo-advice,
Hmm.
which means you're now fluent in digital onboarding.
Hmm.
It really forces you to think about your past in terms of future value.
Yeah, I love that. That proactive connection between your past and the potential future value you bring.
Yeah.
That's absolutely key for a compelling intro. So now the guidelines dig into something that, well, often gets kind of glossed over, understanding and articulating why you chose a particular path, your motivation.
The why.
Exactly. And they introduce this really useful framework called the motivation impact fit formula.
Okay, motivation, impact, fit. Let's dig into that.
Hmm.
What's the thinking behind breaking down your why into those three parts?
Well, the formula helps structure your reasoning, basically, in a way that's both personal but also professional.
Right.
So motivation is about finding that personal catalyst, the spark or passion that drew you in.
Okay.
Impact focuses on the bigger picture, the contribution you hope to make in the world, or at least in your field.
Hmm.
And fit is where you explain why this specific role or this course you're taking is the logical vehicle for making that impact happen.
Got it. They must have examples for this too.
They do, and they're really relatable. For motivation, someone might say, growing up in a family-run store taught me the power of trust in repeat business. It's personal.
Okay. Yeah.
For impact, it could be something broader, like the desire to help newcomers build financial security.
Right.
And then for fit, maybe tying it to a specific approach, need satisfaction selling aligns with my natural consultative style.
Ah, I see. So it connects the personal drive to the professional approach.
Exactly that. It shows your choices aren't just random, but they're driven by genuine interest and a clear sense of purpose.
It moves you beyond just saying, I'm interested in finance.
Precisely. By connecting those inner drivers to a recognized professional framework, like needs satisfaction selling, you show, well, a deeper level of self-awareness and strategic intent.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Now, here's an interesting point the guidelines bring up. The power of balanced self-assessment.
Mm-hmm.
They actually suggest mentioning one of your strengths alongside.
Yeah.
Wait for it. A complementary area where you're actively looking to develop.
Yeah, the strength and the weakness, basically.
Yeah. It feels a bit risky, doesn't it? Highlighting something you're still working on.
It does feel counterintuitive, I get that. But what's insightful here, I think, is the focus on building trust and credibility.
How so?
Well, think about it. Recruiters, potential clients, they often see a balanced view as more authentic, more believable than someone who just boasts about everything they're great at.
True.
So by pairing a clear strength with a related development goal, you're showing self-awareness and a growth mindset.
Huh.
Both are really highly valued.
Okay, the example they give probably helps clarify this.
You'll hear it.
Right, so someone might highlight their strong rapport-building skills.
Hmm?
Maybe they back it up with positive feedback or, as the notes mention, high net promoter scores during an internship.
Okay, so evidence of the strength. NPS scores, for those listening, basically measure customer loyalty. High scores are good.
Right. Then they pair that strength with a development goal like deepen needs diagnosis questioning to uncover latent client goals.
Ah, so related but different. Latent needs meaning the ones the client might not even realize they have yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the connection they draw is key. Relationship selling naturally goes from building that initial rapport to really discovering what the client truly needs, even the hidden needs, so the development goal fits the process.
That's smart. And the guidelines probably emphasize making that goal specific, right? Not just get better at questions.
Absolutely. It needs to be framed as forward-looking and measurable. So instead of that vague goal, a stronger statement is, by the end of this term, I aim to master spin questioning techniques.
Okay, spin. Situation, problem, implication, need payoff questions, a specific technique.
Right. And achieve a score of over 85% in the related role-play assessment.
See?
Yeah.
That shows real commitment. Specificity matters.
Okay, so we've got the snapshot, the value chain for background, understanding your why with motivation, impact, fit, and this balanced self-assessment.
Lots of good stuff already.
Definitely. Now, the guidelines talk about making all this theory more tangible, using storytelling, specifically the STAR method.
Ah, yes, STAR. A classic for a reason.
It's about illustrating your points with a brief, compelling story, right? Like 60 to 90 seconds.
Exactly. A well-chosen story, told concisely, can be way more memorable and impactful than just listing skills or facts. And STAR gives you that perfect structure.
Remind us. STAR is.
Situation, task, action, result. Sets the scene, explains the challenge or goal, describes what you did, and outlines the outcome. Really clear.
They even use a negative example, which I thought was really illuminating.
Oh, Tell me about that.
It's about someone ordering a laptop. Delivery gets delayed, then delayed again, with zero communication from the company.
Yeah, frustrating. So that's the situation.
Right. The task, from the customer's view, was needing proactive updates, communication,
The implicit need.
the action. Eventually, the company deployed a live chat agent who just refunded the shipping cost.
Okay, so some action, but maybe not addressing the core issue.
Exactly. And the result, yeah, they kept the customer, but trust was eroded.
And the takeaway there is,
That sometimes those unspoken latent needs, like the need for assurance, for communication, can actually outweigh the explicit need, which was just getting the laptop.
that's a really powerful insight. It underlines that relationship building or selling isn't just about the technical solution. It's about managing the emotional risk, the whole experience for the other person.
Absolutely. Okay, so moving from stories, the guidelines then shift to thinking about the future.
Right. Looking ahead.
Yeah, emphasizing how important it is to state a 5-year career objective.
Right.
And crucially, explicitly linking your current course or opportunity to that goal.
Yeah, this shows vision, right? A
Yeah.
sense of direction. And as the guidelines point out, the best goals are SMART.
The SMART criteria. Specific,
Measurable.
achievable,
Rel-
and time-bound.
Yeah.
It shows you're not just dreaming, you have a plan.
Exactly. And the example they give is really strong.
Lay it on us.
Okay. Within 5 years, I plan to become a licensed investment advisor managing a $50 million book of millennial clients.
Okay, very specific, measurable, time-bound.
Right. Then the link. Mastering consultative sales dialogues this term, that's the current activity, will shorten my onboarding curve, improve first meeting conversion rates, and position me for early IRRC sponsorship.
And IROC sponsorship, for anyone unsure, is that necessary step to becoming a registered investment advisor in Canada.
Correct. So what makes this example so good is how directly it connects the current learning those sales dialogues to future success metrics like conversion rates and getting sponsored.
It really does signal professional maturity, doesn't it? That strategic thinking. You see how today's effort fits into the bigger picture.
Absolutely. It shows you understand how mastering prospecting now or need discovery or presenting solutions, how that translates to hitting those longer-term career milestones, those KPIs.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground on the content of the introduction, but you can have the best message ever, and if the delivery falls flat, it just won't land. So the guidelines also cover those crucial nuances of delivery.
Absolutely vital. The delivery mechanics that differentiate, as they call them. What do they highlight?
Well, length first. They suggest keeping the whole intro to a focused 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay, so longer than the initial snapshot, but still concise.
Yeah, roughly 300 to 400 words. It's a balance between giving enough depth and keeping the audience's attention.
Makes sense. What about structure?
They reiterate that logical flow. Opening snapshot first, then background value chain, then motivation, then strength goal, then the star story, and finally your future link.
Right. It builds a persuasive case step by step.
And tone is key too. They call it conversational authority.
Conversational authority. I like that. What does it mean?
It's that sweet spot, confident, but also humble, approachable. It builds trust and makes you relatable, not arrogant.
That sounds right. And nonverbals.
Yep, the usual suspects, but still important.
Yeah.
Upright posture, using deliberate hand gestures, not flailing around, but emphasizing points, and speaking at a good pace, around 120 to 140 words per minute. Keeps people engaged, doesn't feel rushed or too slow.
And they probably recommend practicing.
Big time. They suggest practicing out loud, even recording yourself.
Oh, it's always humbling, but so useful.
Totally. You hear all your ums and ahs, awkward phrasing, check your timing. It's a great way to polish it up and feel more confident.
Definitely worth the effort. Okay, so any final tips? Maybe things to avoid?
Yes. The guidelines wrap up with some common pitfalls, like the troubleshooting section for your self-introduction.
Always useful. What are the big traps?
First, the biography dump. Just listing everything you've ever done.
Ah, yes, the chronological resume recitation.
Exactly. The key is relevance. Focus on what matters now in this context. They contrast saying, I like helping people,
Very generic.
with something much more impactful and quantified. Like,
Yeah.
in my previous role, I saved clients an average of $1,200 in fees last tax season.
Big difference. Shows, doesn't just tell. What else?
Generic motivation, similar idea. Replace vague statements about being passionate with specific stories that actually show your drive.
Right. Let the story convey the passion.
They also warn against oversharing weaknesses. Frame those development areas positively. Link them to learning strategies like we discussed.
Good point. And anything else?
Yeah, one more big one. Under-signaling future fit. Forgetting to connect your aspirations clearly to tangible outcomes or deliverables. Always make that link explicit.
Got it. So really bring it all together.
Exactly. And the final thought really encapsulates it all.
Which is?
That a truly compelling self-introduction isn't just a monologue about you. It's a value proposition. It's about clearly showing what you offer, why you care, and where you're going. All framed by your unique journey, your strengths, and the lessons you've picked up along the way.
That's a great summary. So wrapping this up, what's the main takeaway for listeners?
I think it's that a well-crafted self-introduction is, well, it's a powerful and strategic tool. It really does require careful thought and practice.
It's not just something you wing.
Definitely not, if you want it to be effective. It's about being clear, concise, making that genuine connection by showing your motivations, your values, and ultimately demonstrating the value you bring or aspire to bring to whatever situation you're in.
Which leads us, I think, to a really crucial question for you, the listener, to think about.
Go for it.
How can you reframe your own personal story through this lens of value? What unique contributions do you offer? What genuinely drives you? And where are you intentionally heading?
Yeah.
Think about it. What's just one element of your background or maybe a future aspiration that you now feel after hearing this you could articulate more powerfully, more effectively?
That's definitely something to ponder. We'd really encourage you to take some time, reflect on your own experiences, and maybe start drafting that high-impact intro using these ideas.
Yeah, give it a try. Maybe even take that advice and record yourself practicing.
You might be really surprised to the insights you gain and the confidence you build just by doing it.